Trades here, and today we have episode 4 of the X1 swap, which is the Ecotec LNF and LSJ engine into a Fiat X1. And today we're going to be doing the very first start of the car. We got to open up the wall here real quick just so we don't fumigate ourselves, and then we'll be good to go. Don't forget to subscribe to get the latest episode on the build.
Big noise and everything. See if it keeps it wide open.
What you got here with your water bottle?
You're just going to use that plastic water bottle then?
As long as it works, yeah.
Well, it doesn't pop out of there while you're racing?
Well, I'll put a tire wrap on it to hold it down. I'll put a tire wrap on it.
Oh, yeah.
The pedal is here.
Oh, is it hooked up already?
Oh yeah, it's all hooked up. And so the pedal runs through the cable. The cable runs all the way back here. And I did it that way because if I ever go to a...
Oh, so the pedals, are the pedals all good to go then, except for the clutch?
The clutch just doesn't have... the pedals are good to go. The clutch needs a hydraulic system, and the brakes just need the lines hooked up. But all pedals, the box is set up really good. It's got all the basic dimensions of a race car, and the X1 ones are actually pretty good, so you can heel toe it and all that stuff. Yeah,
the last time I saw it, I think it just had the intakes. You just had kind of put on the panels there for the side scoops.
Yeah, well, I basically did all the plumbing for the intercoolers are done, and then I did all the wiring. And all the wiring for the engine wiring. I had to change a couple sensors on the harness, a couple of the harness connectors, and I did all the wiring. And I finished all the fuel system. All the pumps are in here, and all the lines for those pumps. So fuel regulator. Then I got the
fits nicely in there.
The whole water system on it. So all that stuff's been added since the last time we were here. Like I said, the next job I'm going to do is probably put the airbox on and work that out. And then I'm going to do the intercooler mounts. Because once the intercooler mounts are done, then I can start doing the body panels in the back.
It's got 2 fuel pumps, right?
Yep. It has 2 fuel pumps for a reason. Those are Bosch 044s. It's probably one of them's on a switch right now. It'll probably
on
one pump when I'm on gasoline. Yeah. Because that pump will handle about 400 horsepower from gasoline. But when you switch to E85, when I turbo it, E85 takes way more volume of fuel. Mm-hmm. So I'll need both of the pump volumes. The other thing about it is it gives me 2 pickups in the tank, one in the front, one in the back. So like say even with gasoline, if you were to get low to the bottom of the tank and you instead of sucking air when you're in a corner or something, you can turn on both pumps and it'll pick it up either place you are.
What are some of the things that people might not notice just by looking at it that are noteworthy, I guess?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean that you've got everything packed in so tight. And
I know.
But you actually can get and service everything on this.
It's definitely a tight, it's like...
It looks like it was made for it though, doesn't it?
It really does. It's like, fits perfect in here.
Yeah.
Well, you had the motor picked out like before you started working on the frame.
And when I knew what I needed for suspension geometry, and I knew where the engine had to go relative so that when at ride height, those uprights are going to come up a little bit. The axles are pretty straight up at ride height.
Right.
And then so you want that for your axle length. And then I knew what I needed for geometry, suspension, and I knew how big the engine was. So I needed to build the package around that and make it stiff enough and strong enough to handle that stuff. But it's all chrome mounted tubing, and it's all light gauge, but very stiff and strong. So
it fits good in there, though.
It does fit good in there, and all the stuff is pretty serviceable. You can get to any auxiliary component without pulling the motor out. You don't have to drop a cradle or anything like that to do anything on it.
Unless you're doing major.
Well, if you had to do engine work inside the engine, yeah. You
can
pull the cylinder head off of it.
That's true, I guess.
Or you can pull the cylinder heads off it and change rod bearings. Pull pistons out if you want it. You can get the oil pan off in the car. You can get the cylinder head off in the car. If you can do those 2 things, you can pull pretty much any kind of service on it.
Man, that's tight back here with the firewall and the motor.
Oh yeah, see, that's why I made this trap door. We did some work on it because it had an Ecotec in it, and we were doing all the Ecotec development. And one thing about the aerial atom I didn't like is you couldn't get to anything in the front part of the motor. It was just like this, 2 seats with an Ecotec right there.
Does it have like a firewall there?
There was a firewall there. And I didn't like it because you couldn't get the starter. Some of them have dry sump systems, but the ones we worked on didn't have dry sump. So with a dry sump, you can pull where more G's, and you don't have to worry about oil starvation.
Yeah.
So this has got the tank. You can get the tank out. You can get alternator, dry sump tank, supercharger off, starter, battery, all that stuff out without having to take anything out, taking the motor out at all.
Yeah, and you wanted it. You're kind of tight for space back here, I'm sure. Anyways, so having it as close as you can is
exactly
ideal.
Whenever you're dealing with the stock bay, you know, with your stock engine bay, it's a mess because they're so tight. The access is so hard.
A lot of people have issues with the trunk because it has that cross member right there.
And so I don't have, because it is a strut suspension, you have to have a lot of strength up high in it. But this isn't. This is an SLA, so the strength is all lateral into the frame, and the coilovers are the coilovers handle their stress to a unit that's quite strong locally.
What is the height from the bottom to the ground going to be about?
It's adjustable, actually.
Okay.
Typically, when you were on the street, you would run it probably around 4 inches or
4
something
inches,
like that.
okay.
When you're on the racetrack, the X1 that Tom and I raced in production classes, we ran at about 1.5 inches off the ground. Okay. So, I mean, the lower you are, the faster it is.
Racetrack, you can do that though.
But as you lower it, the racetracks are smooth.
Right.
You lower it and you stiffen it. So as you stiffen it, it doesn't move on a suspension very much either, you see. So on the street, you have to have more compliant suspension, and you have more ride height for bumps and holes.
You gotta be able to
so you raise it up, you put a little softer suspension on it for the street.
Right.
You want to do a track day. With the coilovers, it's easy. I can change spring rates or ride heights. Drop it down, put it low, put the sticky tires on it, and go crazy. You put these tires on it.
Those tires are sweet.
These are pretty good here. Yeah, those are gonna be perfect actually for it. Get this big thing out of here.
That's gonna be bad with that.
So that's about what it's gonna look like track with.
It just looks massive on there.
Yeah, a lot of power, you gotta have a lot of tire group.
Yeah. It looks almost comical how they're like half the height of the car.
I know, they'll actually be up a little bit higher than that when
those are 18s, right?
Those are 18s, yeah.
Yeah, and they're usually what, 15s or 13s on a Fiat?
13s on X1 9,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the fronts? 15s or 17s?
Fronts are 17s.
Man, they literally are almost half the height.
Yeah, well, the bottom of it is actually going to be up about this much farther. I mean, you can imagine where the bottom is. 4 inches of ride height is there, but if it's on the racetrack, it's only going to be.
So right now, it's just because it's in the air, they're sagging.
It's droop. It's that full droop.
Yeah.
They're goodly sized.
They're sweet.
But
those rims are nice too.
But if I put, when I get 450 horsepower in it, and I have tires that big, that are super soft, it's going to be really hooked up at the back.
Yeah, you might as well build it to fit though, something like that from the beginning.
Because I'll probably take it to the drag strip and do some drag racing with it too,
Yeah.
And you need a tire that size, you can get some really super nice tires that size. But if you think about it, there's cars that weigh 4,000 pounds that run the same kind of tires. This will weigh less than half. So from here,
that's the floor height, right?
That's the bottom of the floor is about 36 inches. So if it's 4 inches off the ground, a GT40 is 40 and that's what this is, 40 inches off the ground. That's how high it's going to be, Kurt, off the ground. When it's sitting on its wheel. And here, low oil pressure, and this is your on-off power to the system. Fuel pump. It's where it's through the computer. I know.
Who's shooting fire?
Was it shooting fire?
Yeah.